Good morning. You know, this is a 2014 Honda CTX 1300, and they only made it for 1 year. But in order to keep this bike in this condition, we have to make sure the oil is changed, check the brakes, always make sure there's wax on the bike so that the bugs that we run into every day don't destroy the paint job, and keeps it looking good for these videos. Much like the place that we're going to today, originally it was only in existence for 1 year. But that history from the 1500s is all but forgotten. Nobody really realizes the history of the location that we're going to today. All they see is what happens there today, and it's a lot. So, welcome to Keeping History on Two Wheels, and if you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe. It's the little red button right over here on the left. Also, don't forget to hit that bell, because you want to be notified whenever we do an upload, and we do one each and every week.
Today, we're on an island just off the coast of South Carolina. It was first inhabited by the French in 1562, and it was only inhabited for 1 year by them. Then it was abandoned. Today, it's one of the most integral parts of the United States military. By the end of this video, you'll know what that branch is and the importance of this island to that branch. In 1562, there were two modes of thought when taking over a territory. One was what the Spanish thought. You just looked at the map, decided what you wanted, and then claimed it. The second is what the French did, and that was if you explored it, you could claim it. Not until then. And in 1562, the territory boundaries within the United States looked a lot different than they do today. This is a Spanish map from 1562, which shows the area of Florida going from what today's Florida is up into the Carolinas, over into Ohio and Illinois, and then back down into Texas. And this is a 1562 map from France of the Carolinas area. Today, we're going to focus in on Port Royal Sound. This is Admiral Gaspard de Coligny, and he wanted to establish colonies along the eastern seaboard. So in 1562, he sent Jean Rebault, who was a Norman navigator. He landed at the site on May River in Florida in February of 1562 before moving north to Port Royal Sound. Once Rebault landed in Port Royal Sound, he established a fort on an island within the sound. He named the fort and the island Charlesfort. There, Rebault left 28 men to build a settlement. Rebault then returned to France to arrange supplies for the new colony, but was arrested in England after becoming involved in a period of unrest known as the French Wars of Religion, which prevented his return. After Rebault left, most of the settlers' stores were burned, and Captain Albert de la Pierre died in a mutiny, possibly as a reaction of his heavy discipline. Without supplies or leadership, and beset by hostility from the native population, all but one of the remaining colonists sailed back to Europe after only 1 year. They built their own boat and set sail without compass across the Atlantic. During the long voyage in an open boat, they were reduced to cannibalism before the survivors were finally rescued in English waters by an English ship. Today, the Charlesfort site is an important early colonial settlement site. It contains archaeological remains of a French settlement called Charlesfort, settled in 1562 and abandoned the following year, and the later 16th century Spanish settlement known as Santa Elena. The Spanish remains include a fort built directly on top of the abandoned Charlesfort remains. This fort and other nearby structures are called at various times San Marcos and Fort San Felipe. Because of their remarkable state of preservation and the importance in understanding early French and Spanish colonial practices, the site was designated a historical site in 2001. The site is accessible through only one access point with new caretakers. These caretakers protect the U.S. properties around the world.
Welcome to Charlesfort. This is Parris Island. We are the United States Marine Corps.
From the time of the Civil War through January of 1909, the property belonged to the Department of the Navy, with the first Marines being assigned to Parris Island November 2nd, 1861. But it wasn't until 1909 that the designation Marine Barracks became Marine Officers School and the U.S. Naval Station, Port Royal, South Carolina, with the purpose of indoctrinating new commissioned officers. On October 25, 1915, the recruit depot separated from the officers' school and returned to Port Royal. It was established as Marine Barracks, Port Royal, South Carolina, with the principal mission of training enlisted Marine recruits. 3 days later, the Navy transferred the land and buildings to the Marine Corps. From April 6, 1917 to November 11, 1918, the recruit depot underwent a massive expansion of installations, number of Marines trained, and the type of instruction recruits received in order to meet the demands of the ongoing World War I. It was also during this time that Marine Barracks Port Royal was redesignated Marine Barracks Parris Island, and the government took possession of the remaining private land on Parris Island. Marine Corps Order Number 32 officially changed the name Parris, P-A-R-I-S, to P-A-R-R-I-S on May 3rd, 1919. Over the years, different excavations have occurred on the island of these fort locations, both the French and the Spanish ones. Always with care and always in the attempt to preserve the natural beauty of the area surrounding these locations. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell so that you'll know when we do an upload, and we do one each and every week. Welcome to Charlesfort, and this is Parris Island.